It's Shootin the Bull, a podcast by Idaho Department of Fish and Game.
It's on a rope. He gets flinging that thing. It'll break glass.
But he's got so much energy. He's a year.
Yeah, just over a year, 14 months.
Yeah. Is he still in training or is it?
So, I mean, training is kind of perpetual with these dogs, but we are certified. So we are certified through through the police academy.
So he's a certified dog?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, he is a certified officer for evidence search. Hey, Bear.
Get him.
Hey, Bear.
Hey, Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
My microphone smells like dog now.
The tricky part with picking up a dog that's 4 months old is you're kind of taking a little bit of a risk and a bet that he's going to continue to have that drive once he's a full-grown dog. I think we're in the clear with Bear, but that's kind of the risk, and so we wanted to try something a little bit different, and so picked Bear up at 4 months old from just a breeder here in Boise. Not a big kennel, just a guy and his wife that breed mostly dogs for hunting, trial stuff. So they had some award-winning dogs. And we went and evaluated. Well, yeah, Jim and Craig went and looked at a bunch of dogs and then kind of had a handful, 4 or 5 different dogs that they wanted me to come look at. And we went and looked at them all. And anyway, just there's a little bit of a bond that you've got to have with the dog and then a personality with the dog.
I would assume there's some intuition too. Like this one feels good.
Well, with Bear, we took a half-frozen pheasant and a half-frozen duck and went out in the backyard. And after 45 minutes, me and Craig were tired, but Bear was still running around the yard with the frozen birds, trying to just having fun, playing with them in the pool and everything like that. So that was kind of how we selected it. Selected Bear.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm going to kick things off here officially, and then we'll kind of jump back into things here.
yeah.
Go for. Oh,
Hey, Bear, stay down.
hey, get him, Bear.
If you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. So you can tell him to get down.
Same with Ben.
Now you're quiet.
There he is. So the topic of today is we're gonna talk to both Bear and Kolby about what it is like to be a conservation officer in Idaho, but more specifically a conservation officer that has a canine officer. We've already been told that your official title is a handler, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So Canine Bear is gonna punch in with colorful commentary here and there, but we're mostly gonna be talking to Kolby White today. So Kolby, you're down you're based out of the southeast region in
Correct.
Idaho, Pocatello. When did you get saddled up with Idaho Fish and Game?
2021 was when I got brought onto the department. So, and I'm in the Bear Lake Valley. The technical patrol area is Montpelier, but Bear Lake sounds way cooler than Montpelier. So
Yeah.
I go with Bear Lake on everything. It's a rebrand, you know?
Yeah.
And, that's kind of where I wanted to be when I got on with the department. In fact, during the hiring process, I knew Montpelier was open. And so they said, if you could pick one place in the state to be, where would you pick? And I said, Montpelier. And then Justin Williams laughed at me. I specifically remember that. They said, no, really, where do you want to go? It's like, no, I want to be in Bear Lake.
But that's not far away from where you grew up.
No, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then, so even though I wasn't born in Idaho, both sides of my family, my mom's side and my dad's side, go back to the Preston area. And so one of my great grandfathers actually was in Idaho prior to Idaho becoming a state. And then him and another guy were the first ones to buy a reaper that you pull behind a horse for cutting grain.
Okay.
And they did some of the first grain cuttings in the Preston area, up near Glendale. And then they left there to go near Ogden in a little town called West Weber and opened a dairy. And anyway, I made it back to the motherland.
Yeah.
So you're making some good background noise
Your
for us.
territory then that you cover is Idaho-Utah border.
And Wyoming border.
And
so
Wyoming.
I'm the very southeast corner there. So yeah, I go from the Utah border, which the Bear Lake is half in Utah, half in Idaho, about. And so I go from the Bear Lake border to Georgetown, which is about halfway between the border and Soda Springs.
Okay.
And then from midway between Preston and Montpelier, the Bear River Range, all the way over to the Wyoming border.
Okay.
So Yeah, cover that.
A lot of country, a lot of different country.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very diverse. We've got the Bear Lake Plateau that's basically all sagebrush, and then we've got the Bear River Range, which is absolutely gorgeous. I don't even like to talk about it because it's one of those hidden gems that I don't want people to know about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a beautiful area.
Well, as Ben alluded to, like you didn't grow up too far away from all this that you're talking about. How much of this country were you already familiar with before joining Fish and Game?
Not as familiar necessarily with the northern parts of my patrol area, but I've been through there a number of times. My wife's family has gone to Bear Lake for family vacation every summer since she was a little girl. So like I've been up there a bunch. My family's been up there a bunch. My great-grandfather used to go to the east shore of Bear Lake where they had the Cisco run. Like it's one of the endemic fish. It only exists in Bear Lake. They're kind of like little sardines. And we allow people to like cut big holes in the lake or in the ice and dip net when they're when they're coming up. And so he would go over there and dip net a bunch and then bottle them. And
are they specific only to
Bear Lake?
Bear Lake? Okay.
Yep. Wow. Bear Lake Cisco.
I've never been Bear Lake.
It's the Caribbean of the Rockies.
That's what I hear, and it's still on my Idaho bingo card. It's one of the few places that I haven't got down to.
Yeah.
But we also don't, with Fish and Game, we don't have tons of reason to get down there outside of.
Yeah, I'm 2 hours from the regional office.
Yeah.
So it's, in fact, like the people that are in the Pocatello regional office are closer to Idaho Falls regional office and Twin Falls or Jerome regional office than I am to my own regional office.
Yeah.
Wow. Where do you live in Preston proper or Montpelier?
I live between Montpelier and Paris. Yeah. Okay. So good old
sounds
very romantic.
Sounds very
yeah. It's
Caribbean of the Rockies, Paris.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a destination getaway. Yeah.
There's a lot of settlers in that area that were European, and so there's a lot of little towns that are named after European countries or where the people were from.
Realize
So
it was a Paris, Idaho.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention you're like in the heart of fur trapper country too.
Yes. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like Journal of a Trapper.
Yep. Osborne Russell.
Yeah. Describes a lot of that area. Bear Lake, they did, I think 2 or 3 mountain men rendezvous, back in the day on the southern end of Bear Lake and Cache Valley, which goes into Preston, right? It's called Cache Valley because that's where they cached their hides and whatnot back in those days. So.
Yeah. Crazy history back in there. Absolutely would have been absolutely terrifying.
You think you would have lasted very long?
Maybe a season. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still hard over there. There's still good, tough winters on the Montpelier side.
We just had 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We had a really hard winter over there, and
knocked back a lot of deer populations.
Yeah, that was a rough one. That was
and you were probably out there in the thick of it.
Yeah,
helping
we're talking
salvaging deer and
long winter,
picking up carcasses.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I remember going to a training that year in like June, and or towards the beginning of June, and like not seeing my yard when I left, right? Like there was still snow, and then going to the training and like seeing green grass and being like, oh, this is what, green stuff looks like.
It's been so long.
Yeah. What is this? It's a new world.
So how long have you had Canine Officer Bear?
Since September. So we picked him up.
2024?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And he was 4 months old when we picked him up. So for a good chunk of last fall, he was just a puppy riding around in the truck.
Seems like he's still just a puppy.
Yeah, he's. I don't know what age you stop calling him a puppy, but he's barely over a year now, so he's still very much. I think he's got another year of calling him a puppy before we start calling him dog. But
I say he's got some big paws on him. It looks like he's still got some room to grow.
Yeah, his breeder said I think his dad was like 90-something pounds, so he's almost 70, so he's still got some weight to put on.
Yeah,
I would imagine that it's changed how you work substantially.
Yeah.
Having this animal attached to you for the last 8 months.
Yeah. I mean, you just start with my truck. My truck setup is so different, right? Like I don't have a back seat now. So Bear's cage or kennel, however you want to look at it, it's like mounted in the truck. It takes up 2/3 of what was my back seat. And then I have another third that has a couple shelves on it. And like of those couple shelves, like I still got to have a lot of stuff for Bear, water, food, toys, stuff for training. So I have to be a lot more lean. I can't just be, tossing everything I've got in the backseat of my truck anymore. So yeah, it's definitely changed just the setup that I had. And then, always, you have to have him in mind. We have these special alarm systems that are in the truck that, monitor the temperature at all times, because we don't want him getting too hot. We don't want him getting too cold. And so kind of have to put a little bit more effort into just making sure he's good, because there are long days where he just has to sit in the truck for hours on end as we're taking care of something.
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I can imagine too, like some unforeseen circumstance where you're on a patrol and you leave him in the truck for whatever reason, thinking that it's going to be a quick little, contact.
The classic game warden. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah. But then 3 hours later, for whatever reason, he's still in the truck. I mean, does the truck have safety measures in place to kind of?
Yeah, it's besides just an alarm system that will like roll down the back windows and kick on a fan. It's also hooked up to cell phone service for if it's parked in an area that has cell phone service, and so it'll text me if the engine dies or if the temperatures get too hot, and then there's like an app I can get on and look what temperature it is in the truck. At all times, just so if I'm in like a meeting and he can't be in there. It's not a big deal to leave the AC going in there. It used to go underneath the center console for like the back people in the back seats AC. We kind of piped into that and piped it right up to the cage. So he's got a nice AC vent right there, or heat, whichever one I'm pumping out in the truck.
Yeah.
And that, I would imagine not every call you go on needs the dog.
Correct. Yeah. Most of the time he's just with me.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't stay at home a whole lot, though. I mean, he's got the badge. He's going to go with me wherever I go, pretty much. So unless
he's out there with you every day, right?
Correct. Yeah, unless there's a reason for me not to take him. Like obviously, he's not going to ride on the snowmobile with me when we're going out on snowmobiles all day.
Or you're in town picking up a motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, but sometimes he will kind of jog along if it's like a close thing we're going to. But if I'm going out on motorcycle all day, we'll leave him at home. He can hang out with my other dogs. But for the most part, like I take him with me. That's the last thing I'm grabbing before I'm going out of the house is his food and his water and his toys. Sometimes I forget my own food, but I remember his at least.
Do you ever eat his food when you're in a pinch?
No,
not yet.
Not yet. I haven't been that hungry yet. It smells half decent, but I'm not that. Yeah, there's his tail wagging on hitting the desk. He's gonna unplug some cords here shortly.
What's that dynamic? Oh, he's tangled up.
Hold up, Bear.
Easy. Come here.
Simmer.
Got it hooked around his back right ham hock there.
It might be easy.
We lassoed a dog.
Yeah, we're experiencing technical difficulties.
There we go.
There you go.
He set himself free.
Hey, come here, buddy.
What is that dynamic like with him and your other dogs? Do they see him as kind of this workhorse, or does he look down upon them as kind of these freeloaders that don't have jobs?
No, I think they get jealous when he leaves.
Sure.
And there's definitely my older dog Brittany, my Brittany Spaniel.
Oh,
she's 10, so she's starting to slow down, but like she definitely gets jealous when I'm like leaving. And he's at the point now that like he knows when I put on my green and grays that like it's going to work time, and so it breaks his heart when I'm like, nah, dude, you got to stay here.
Yeah.
He's already got his badge on. He's ready to go.
He goes and puts it on himself.
Warms up the truck.
What would you say the percentage is that he's with you currently? Is it 90, 75?
While I'm at work, probably 90%. Obviously, there's different times of the year that it may be a little bit different, but he's with me 90% of the time.
And that's part of the training too, right?
Correct.
Is that you guys are trying this new way of training, that he's got to be with you.
Yeah, that was a big part of picking him up at 4 months old was a bonding time because we didn't go through the official certification and training stuff till this spring. So we got a good 6 months of just me and Bear and him being a dog and just getting exposure to the things that we get exposed to, right? The dogs that the program had picked up in the past, I mean, they're great dogs, but a lot of them were at a house or a kennel for that first year, 2 years of their life. So there's things that they weren't exposed to, where Bear at 4 months old is I've got him in a kennel on my back seat of my truck, and we're bouncing down dirt roads, checking hunters. He's getting to smell all the smells. He's getting to see all the sights. He's getting to go be around boats, be around four-wheelers, be around people. And so just getting that exposure, just so he's not scared or timid. Obviously, he's in here today. He's not scared of anything in here. But yeah, just getting that exposure was a big part of the pre-training training.
Yeah, it makes sense because it's like he's, at the end of the day, it's like he's going to be employed, but he's still a dog. He still has to learn how to be a dog. And
do you guys train every day? Do you carve out moments that, even in play, there's training?
Yeah. For him, it's all play, right? For him, that's like, he does everything that we want him to do because I've got a ball in my pocket that I'm going to throw when he finds what I want him to find. And
That's
so
how Connor and I work too.
Yeah.
I'll let you guess which one has the ball in the pocket.
I think that's why we all work, right? They dangle that check out in front of us a little bit. Hey, do this and I'll give you this, buddy. But yeah, so we try to work in something every day. It may not be, hey Bear, it may not be, specifically like hiding a gun or hiding wildlife parts or pieces. It may just be some obedience or, something around those lines. But we try to do as much as we can. Right now it's summer break, right? So let him have a little bit of the summer off. It's mostly just because it's so hot. You don't want to work him a black dog in the heat. Yeah. He's going to get up on your lap.
Oh,
Bear.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
Jesus.
We're wrecking their equipment, buddy. Yeah. Hey, why don't you come over here?
Big for a lap
dog, buddy. Yeah. He thinks he's a
There we go.
full lap dog. Sit down. Yeah. Right there.
Being a black dog, that's a interesting concern. I mean, are there other breeds that we look at? And we've had a brown lab or a chocolate lab in the past.
Riley's chocolate. Okay. And then Hudson was a yellow lab, right? And so our procedure or our policy just says it has to be a sporting breed.
Okay.
Which can be anything. I mean, you could GSP, it could be a Brittany, whatever. We've used labs so far because they're available, and then for what we do, they're kind of already, I don't know, it's like built into them because they're not just out to find wildlife parts and pieces and guns and whatnot. They're also a huge PR piece, right? Yeah. So we've got to take them places, and obviously he's a little bit of a wild tornado being a puppy. Yeah. But eventually they settle down and they're like really good. They're inherently like good with people.
Yeah. He's a beautiful dog.
Like Canine Blue.
Yeah. They're just good with people. And so we haven't strayed away from labs, but our policy allows us to. So if there was an officer in the future that was like, I only like GSPs, I only want a Brittany, we do allow that. Other agencies, they run the gamut with dogs that they've picked up. So.
Okay. I don't know if you guys covered this early on, but you've been a CO obviously for 4 years now with Fish and Game, and
yep.
What was that day like when they were like, all right, we're going to assign you to canine handler, or was it something that you were able to pick?
It was something that I kind of put on my dream board with my supervisor, right? Yeah. Like one day this is what I want to be. And I made it very vocal early on. Like even when I was in field training with Jim Sterling, I just like, this is what I want to do. And at the time we had Dexter with Tim Cluckin in Region 5. And so I always joked with him like, hey, like as soon as you're done, I'm filling those shoes, man. I'm right behind you. And so then obviously Canine Dexter passed away. Which was super tragic, and it left that opening in Region 5. And I was still a rather new officer at that point. So they kind of like gave me like a yellow light. Like, yeah, at some point down the road, if we haven't filled that, like we'll put you in there. And then last summer, they kind of were like, hey, we really want to add a dog to our region. And would you be interested in being the handler? And I was like, absolutely. Like, let me know when and where. And they're like, well, probably the spring of 25, like we'll go through training. So I'm thinking it's going to be the same, pick up a dog that's around a year old, send me to Indiana, right? And then I get a call 1st of September and they're like, hey, are you ready for a dog? And I was like, yeah, like next year. They're
you
like,
have to
no,
have that
like in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, like what does this look like? And then they kind of explained we were kind of shifting gears a little bit and trying something new. And so, yeah, I went home, told the wife, like, yeah, hey, there might be another dog in the house.
That was what I wanted
weeks.
to know is how did that conversation go?
She was good with it. Yeah, we have 2 other dogs. We love our dogs. And so she was pretty chill. She knew it was something that I really, really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So she was pretty cool with it.
What's the other breed besides Brittany?
I have a deaf mini Aussie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she listens better than my Brittany. I'll tell you that much.
Really?
Yeah. We got her all done with hand signals. As much as training a dog is like telling them what you want them to do, like they notice your body language.
Yeah.
And so we do hand signals with her.
Yeah. She's a cattle breed. She probably is used to those kinds of signals.
She'll run out. We have a electric collar that vibrates. Obviously she can't hear the tone.
Yeah.
But that vibrates like her heel command, and I hit that and she'll come right back.
Whoa.
Where my Brittany, it just like slightly tells her to pay attention.
Yeah.
Right. She's like,
Focus
whatever.
for a
But if
second.
she's at 10 now, she's probably in those golden years where she's just like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah,
I'm going to
she's
do
like,
what I want to do.
Just give me a steak.
Yeah.
So you hunt with the other dogs.
I don't hunt with them now. Like
Okay.
the Brittany's, she's getting old. And then the mini Aussie, she's never been a hunting dog. Being deaf,
Yeah.
might
it
be
a
a
little
little bit rough. But she's a really good dog. She listens really well for being deaf.
So when you decided on this career field too, like you put it on your I don't know your dream board, whatever you pinned it on your Pinterest.
Yeah, exactly.
Someday I'm gonna be a canine handler. You talked about your grandpa being in this industry also. Is that really what drove you to get into this, or is it your love of all things outdoors, or what led you to where we are today?
Yeah, so I had a very different childhood with having a grandfather that was a conservation officer, because I have like home videos and pictures of me as like a little kid in his backyard with like 2 baby fawns, because people, how they try to save the fawns from their mothers when they go off a little ways.
Don't touch the animals, people.
Yeah. The moms will leave them there for a little while and go off and feed and come back, and people think they're abandoned.
Yeah.
And so back in the day, there wasn't the numbers you could call, right? And if the regional office was closed, like people didn't know what to do. So there's like, well, I know the game warden lives over here. And so people would show up and get 2 fawns out of the back of their minivan. And he's like, great. And they're sitting in the backyard. So I've got pictures.
Here we go
of video.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was able, like, little kid being out, Utah has their Antelope Island has some bison out there, and they did like their buffalo roundup. And I remember going out there as a little kid and seeing some moose captures and relocations sort of stuff. And then he retired when I was like 12, 13. And then he started working on a couple hunting ranches up in northern Utah as like security during the fall, right? So not necessarily being a game warden, but like same sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he would work for individuals that would hire him?
Private property, right? And Utah's hunting system's a little bit different. They have some programs where there's tags that are specific to private property, and they're pretty coveted tags. And so he would work those units just basically to make sure people weren't trespassing and poaching on those private ranches.
Yeah.
And so I got to spend a lot of summers with him working on those ranches, and then during the falls, I'd go up on weekends and work with him through that sort of stuff. So I like to,
special.
yeah, and I got to help him find people that were doing stuff, and then like pick his brain, hear all the stories, all the game warden stories. We'd stay up late at night. Tell me that story again about this. Tell me the story about this, and just fell in love. And I can go back to first grade, second grade, and you fill out those poster boards with like, my favorite color is orange. I like to do this.
Yours was green and gray.
And and it was like, what do you want to be? And I'm like, game warden.
Yeah.
So yeah, just as far as I can remember, that's what I wanted to do. There was a little bit of a detour in high school. I had a not so great counselor. I wish I could find out. I wish I could remember her name.
Shout her out.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, being a game warden is kind of dumb. You go to school for a long long time to not make very much money. And like knowing what I know now, I should have been like, how much are you making?
Yeah, exactly.
How much are you making?
How much
you know,
do you spend to make what you're making?
Yeah. So she was like, what else do you like to do? I'm like, I like to ride dirt bikes and work on old trucks. She's like, oh, you should be a mechanical engineer. I'm like, okay.
Not the same.
I love it. It sounds great. And then you start looking into like, I don't like math that much.
No.
And so I built airplane parts for a couple of years after high school and just like hated being inside a building all day. So I quit a very good paying job to go work for the Forest Service during the summers and go back to school. So that was a funner conversation with the wife. Like, hey, what if I took like
huge
half of a pay cut, right? And like seasonal job so I can go to school to maybe get a job as a game warden.
Yeah.
But you got your degrees in
Wildlife ecology.
Okay.
Yep, from Utah State, which is in Logan, just over the border from Preston.
That's a cool little valley.
So
cool
being
town.
being on the border, do you have to be up on the bordering states' rules and regulations too, or is that something like you kind of are?
A little bit, just so I can kind of anticipate maybe folks from Utah or Wyoming that like they think that law applies to Idaho, right? But the big one is just seasons, right? So like Utah's archery season on the border starts like mid-August, where ours doesn't start till near the beginning of September. And so you've got that. If I'm not patrolling those 15 days that guys are archery hunting on the border, like they could be sneaking deer out across the border. And then they have a muzzleloader deer hunt that is like the end of our archery hunt. So we had a guy a couple of years ago. There's a road out of, the only way to get there in a full size vehicle is actually through Logan Canyon, through Utah. And so guys came up, drove 3 miles into Idaho, shot a trophy buck, shot another 2-point buck with a muzzleloader right in front of a dude with a bow. And he's like, that's not right. And called us and we went up and snagged him. But, so just keeping up on those seasons is kind of a big thing, a different parameter than probably a lot of the game wardens that are on the interior.
Is that, I always wonder too about the border. Like there's no red line that's like Idaho, Utah.
Right.
Not out there.
No,
Yeah,
but there isn't with I've had people argue that, especially with fishing licenses. I don't know what it is. They'll be like 14 miles into Idaho. They're like, I'm in Idaho? Like, yeah, like a long time ago you were in Idaho, man.
But there's a stipulation, right, with Bear Lake where as long as you have a license for either state, you can fish there.
Correct. Yeah, in the lake itself.
Right.
But as far as tributaries, that's you got to have that state's license. But I've had guys, they're like, well, isn't there a little bit of like leeway? I'm like, there might be I'll give you a couple, like some yardage, but I'm not giving you miles.
Yeah.
Like
not that much.
But the fishing's better in this creek.
Right. And some folks like to try to overcomplicate it, but at the same time, we have all these game management units all over the state that have all sorts of different regs, and none of them are signed. At least some of the border is signed. And so it really is on the sportsman to do their due diligence. If they don't have a mapping program that will like get them close, and they don't understand the proclamation and how it's laid out, like don't hunt near a border.
Yeah.
You just got to be careful.
And there's almost no excuse for it anymore too. There's plenty of technology that tells you where you're at.
Yeah, you're gonna be within 40 yards of most things. So
yeah. Do you see a lot of out-of-state hunters from Utah, Wyoming come over to Idaho?
Like legally or illegally?
Ooh, I guess both.
There is both, right? Some of them we talked about already, some mistakes, but Utah's system is really different than ours. Even for residents in Utah, with that northern part of the state, residents will struggle to get a deer tag. I know guys that are only getting a rifle deer tag like every 3rd or 4th year.
Wow.
Right. And so the opportunity in their state's so low that like they're coming to Idaho. We have more opportunity. Even as a non-resident, they almost have better opportunity than they have as a resident of their own state.
Yeah.
And then just the class of some of the mule deer or elk, like over in Diamond Creek on the Wyoming side, like it's great elk hunting. And so guys, a lot of guys from Utah especially coming up to Idaho.
How many canines does Fish and Game employ?
So the goal would be to have one in every region, so 7. Okay. Currently, before I got brought on, right? We started out with Jim Sterling and Canine Pepper, And that started out as a pilot program back in 2010. The department was kind of like, we're going to give you the go ahead, but you gotta like get donations to make this. And then you've got 5 years to prove it. If you can prove it, then we'll start chipping in. We'll like expand the program.
What did that look like, like proving it wise? What was the...
They just wanted to make sure that it was A, feasible, B, like a good use of time. And just, I don't think that they understood how useful these dogs could be, right? They're like, well, he just wants a dog to ride with him in the truck.
Even in 2010 though, like there wasn't science out there that showed how well dogs work.
There was, but I think there was only a couple states that were using them for fish and wildlife purposes, right? So there was, and that's Jim had got on to, I can't remember what state back east, and like saw their program. It's like, we need to do this. And so he was really the pioneer. He's the one that brought it to the state. After those 5 years, like, well, I think he said like in the first couple of years, they're like, yeah, like when the pilot's done, like, yes, we're going to roll this out. And so I think it was 2016, we brought on Tim Clucken and Canine Dexter, and then Matt Haig and Hudson up in Region 1. And the next year was Craig Mickelson and Blue. So we had 4 dogs running for 8 years, something like that. Then a couple years ago, Pepper retired and Jim picked up a new dog, Riley. And then Dexter passed away. So now we've got Matt Haig and Blue and Craig Mickelson. Or I said Matt Haig and Blue. Matt Haig and Hudson. And Blue and Craig Mickelson.
Headquarters.
Yeah.
He's got his own office.
I'm trying to keep all these things straight. Yeah. And so currently there's 4 of us. But we've got Blue and Hudson are kind of getting up there in age. So in the next couple of years, like they be phasing out there.
Yeah.
And we'll
cashing out their Percy.
Yeah.
There's a really great video on YouTube.
Yeah.
About Pepper.
Yeah, Pepper's Legacy.
Yeah,
if you want to
Pepper's
cry,
Legacy.
go watch that. Well, maybe you need to know Pepper, but it's one of the best videos I've ever seen. Honestly,
it's wonderful. Highly recommend it. How has having the dog? You said this a little bit, but like, how has having the dog changed the way you patrol? Does it change the areas you're going to? Does it change?
Not necessarily. I mean, I still go to places because I think that there is education that needs to happen, right? I think the thing that really changes with Bear is, honestly, he makes me want to go to work more. He gives me that drive because if we're sitting at home and I'm doing paperwork and writing reports, he's like, hey, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, he's
he's over there smacking the door with his tail. Like,
ready.
Hey, Dad said go. Let's go to work, huh? And so I think it's getting me out more. Obviously, there's more time that we put into training him, but I think that the cost definitely outweighs the benefits with what we do.
When you said the education too, like he's and I think I've noticed that too, just having Craig around with Blue. The dog really becomes a part of you,
right?
And it dogs knock down a lot of walls, physically and like emotionally for people too.
Well, and I like to think of myself as a nice guy. I'm sure there's a few people out there that I've wrote tickets to that don't think that.
Probably.
My wife tells me that I have resting cop face, and so people didn't like to come up and talk to me. But everybody wants to come see Bear.
Yeah.
Right. So break a little bit of ice there. Had so many people that see the canine unit on the side of my truck and stop me and like, you have a dog? Like, what does he do? One really funny story, right after I got him, like the week after I had him, right? He's 4 months old. He's in a crate on my back seat. Like, I haven't got the whole kennel system in there yet. And we go up a canyon, and as I'm going down, there's a truck coming up, and it's a really skinny road. So they pull off the road, and as I'm coming by, I see they're all decked out in camouflage. There's a bow in the back seat. I'm like, maybe a good license check during archery season. So I kind of roll my window down. I'm like, how's it going, guys? They're like, oh, good. You guys out elk hunting? Yeah, we're trying to go try this area up here. I'm like, can I check your licenses? Yeah, it's in my backpack. I'm like, I'm just going to pull behind you so we're not blocking the road and check some licenses and tags. And as I walk back up to the truck, there's a open alcohol container sitting in the center console, right? And so I'm like, go to address that. Like, hey guys, like you can't have this. You can't be driving around with open alcohol. And And as soon as I say that, he starts barking from the back seat of my truck, right? Like a little puppy, just barking. He doesn't know where I've gone. And the guy in the passenger seat goes, "Wait, you have a dog?" And I was like, "Yeah, he's our newest canine officer." And that's all I got to say. And he's like for drugs? Like, he sounded like Scooby-Doo. And I'm like, well, should I be concerned about drugs, right? So our dogs are not certified for drugs. They're not bite dogs. They're not drug dogs. They're evidence search dogs, looking for evidence and wildlife parts, pieces, guns, that sort of stuff. But it was just really funny to have him like drugs.
I was wondering that in the back of my mind, like getting pulled over for like a routine license check or something. But the moment there's a dog, it's like, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Do you think the public perception, because that's what the public's familiar with, is how our police officers use dogs?
Correct.
By and large, is drugs.
And there's a lot of agencies that don't even have bite dogs anymore, but they're still using German Shepherds or Malinois, something like that. And so the perception's still there that is what all dogs are.
Yeah, you want to roll the dice with a dog that looks like that may or may not bite you.
Right.
No.
Yeah. I know. I think ISP has a couple of labs that they're using for drug detection, just to kind of break that barrier down a little bit. I did have, as conservation officers in Idaho, we are fully certified peace officers, right? So although our bread and butter is fish and game code, we can enforce other laws. In small counties like Bear Lake, like at fully staffed, Bear Lake has 7 deputies. There's a lot of times they need backup, they need help with stuff. And so a few weeks ago, there was a lady that had a warrant for her arrest, and was refusing to get out of the vehicle, was refusing to roll down windows. And so they're asking for help. They're asking for officers. They've had run-ins with this person in the past. And I can't say for sure that she saw the canine units thing on the side of my truck as I was coming in the opposite direction. But all I know is she refused to get out of the vehicle for 15 minutes. And then I drove past, and before I got out of the truck, she was out of the car. Like, oh, you know what? I give up.
Yeah. All
and
right.
so I'm like, I don't know. He just wanted to play with
me. Yeah, he wanted
to
lick her to death.
Yeah.
Little did she know.
Yeah. Little did she know there was a lab in the back seat.
He just wanted to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just wanted to play.
Yeah. I guess the place you would see them the most, so that people would be familiar with, like airports.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And have some sort of interaction there.
So if his nose doesn't work on drugs, what does his nose do, or what purpose does Canine Bear do?
Yeah. His main focus and the thing that we're certified in is evidence search. And we can you can kind of train the dogs to find specific things, but like we focus on shell casings, firearms, stuff like that, like burnt gunpowder.
Okay.
Is something that we focus a lot on, because that's what we're looking for a lot of time. That's hard for us as officers to find these shell casings in tall grass, and their nose can smell it from a long ways away. And then when you get down to it, like in reality, they're kind of smelling human scent where human scent doesn't belong. So part of his certification, he just loves everybody. We've been going for a while. He still hasn't calmed down.
Calm it down a little bit.
Little bit, yeah. He'll sit down here in a minute. But part of his certification was like they took a Leatherman out of his pocket and tossed out into the field, and that's what he had to find. And then other part of the training, we use like a cell phone, right? Like it's got a lot of human scent on it. And then if it's in here in this room, kind of everything's got human scent.
Yeah.
But if it's out in the middle of a field, it's going to have that human odor to it, and he's going to recognize it. So whether that's a phone, whether that's let's say a knife that somebody used in a crime, or just paraphernalia or whatever, like not drugs, but like just something that they used to commit that crime, a backpack, and they tossed it.
Somebody's trying to ditch it.
Yeah, we will throw shirts, like camouflage shirts out or something like that. He'll smell that. And then we specifically train on, specific wildlife odors. So whether that's fish, ducks, turkeys, you don't want to do too many. It gets hard to maintain. You've got to maintain them on these smells. But the basics of wildlife stuff that we may run into. So, we could run them around at a check station, seeing if people are lying about maybe having game in their truck or had game in the truck. And so that's kind of our our main goal with them is just finding things that we can't find. Their noses are just really powerful.
Yeah. Have you been called to help with anything yet? Like Region 6? Do you have to go like you were talking about some of the other agencies that would call you and help? What about our own? Would there be any time when there's multiple dogs?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what we're looking for and availability. I have got a couple phone calls to go help out with some stuff. Sometimes it's folks don't know necessarily how our dogs work, and so sometimes it's a little bit like I need you to get a little bit more information for me. Like they're good, but they don't work magic. So I can't necessarily search 400 square acres for a single rifle casing that we may or may not be there. But yeah, we just barely got certified this spring, so we've kind of just been training through the summer, and then hopefully this fall we'll have some good cases. But yeah, other agencies will use us. I know that our dogs have helped out in everything from wildlife crime to murders, finding or assaults, whatever it is. People will shoot somebody or shoot at something and then toss the gun, and there's not a whole lot of agencies that have dogs that like what we do, and so and that's our bread and butter, and so they'll call us in. And I know that Jim and Riley a few months ago had a good case where they found a pistol that had been tossed over a fence, kind of a thing, after a crime was committed. Come here, buddy. Come here.
You can. I would imagine though that like they have to constantly keep learning, or you have to kind of constantly keep training and working with Bear and other canine officers. It's not like they're, certified and then they're done.
Yeah, it's not one and done. I mean, the same thing with us human officers, right?
Right.
Like we train with firearms at least like 4 times a year. Just because you learn how to shoot a pistol once doesn't mean you're golden for the rest of your career.
Right.
And so yeah, there is maintenance when it comes to our canines, and there's things that that we want to constantly work on, and we try to. All the canine handlers try to get together at least once a year and do training together and talk about things they've learned. And then like Jim and Riley just went to a conference and did a bunch of training. And so, yeah, we're always trying to learn new things and maintain those skills. And the other thing that folks may or may not realize with dogs is like you can train a dog as specific as you want. So you could, if you wanted to, you could train a dog to like only indicate when there's like 75 shotgun shells that have been shot. Like they'll ignore the single shot, but that they'll indicate on a group of odor, right? Or they'll only indicate on a full animal and not just small stuff, or vice versa. Like you can get them down to where they're only indicating on a single shell casing, right? And so it's just a matter of working with them so that you're not pigeonholing yourself, because I want him to tell me whether or not there's a single shotgun shell or 75 shotgun shells. I want him to be letting me know.
So the dogs in our agency, I guess if you could talk a little more about that, do they have their own specialties, or are they all kind of trained? And again, Bear's getting there's a different approach with Bear. Or are they all trained similarly?
They're all trained very similarly. The only real difference with Bear is we have not done human tracking with Bear. We have some things in the works that we might be working on with that, but that's just something that's very, very time intensive to maintain, and we don't use it a whole lot. We use it occasionally, but it's not all the time. He just got his badge off. Now he can lay down and relax.
Free.
Yeah. Go have a beer.
It's like putting on the flip-flops when you get home.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great question. I was thinking about that too. And he's obviously he has a ways to go in his training and in his career as well.
It could be the next 10 years that you guys are together.
Yeah, let's hope.
You're working hard.
Yeah.
What is the average career span for a canine?
I mean, each one can be a little bit different, but I think we're sitting at 10 years is probably what we're looking at, really. 8 to 10, right? So we were picking up dogs when they were a little bit older, probably a little bit shorter, but now we've got Bear at 4 months. Like, I don't know, we'll see where he's at, but we're hoping good 10 years of having him as an officer.
What are some of the pitfalls with a dog from the dog's perspective of doing this job? Like
You want to ask Bear?
from the human. Well,
Hey, Bear. What do you think?
positives and negatives,
What do you
Bear.
think?
Positives.
Do you like poachers? Huh? Do you like poachers?
Oh.
You don't
there
like
we go.
poachers.
Oh.
You don't like poachers, do you? You want to go find a poacher? Yeah. Okay.
That's his safety word.
Yeah. He knows that's a bad word.
Yeah.
Sorry. What was the question? again?
So
I think that answered it.
somewhat, but like you know that there's people that are armed,
Right.
drunk, bad disposition, whatever. Like sometimes when you meet them, it might be the worst day
Correct.
for them.
Yeah.
And this might be a harder question too to answer, but like dogs just have some other things they have to deal with. Like we talked a little bit about trapping. What are some of the pitfalls for a dog? Would it be rattlesnakes? You know, some of that kind of stuff. What's different that maybe you have to be in tune about that somebody without a dog also wouldn't?
Yeah. So, the smaller things are what you got to worry about, and obviously, like we had Canine Dexter passed away on duty, right? There are things out there that will poison a dog that we don't know about and won't hurt us, right? But will hurt a dog. And so even down to like, and this isn't what happened with Dexter, but like, you know, people will they hate the voles at a campground, right? And so they'll throw out like those sticks of whatever it's called, the rat killer stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll throw out those and then they'll leave from the campground and they're just sitting there. Well, like they're made to attract animals. So your dog goes out and starts chewing on one of those and it's like, oh my goodness, now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know? So you've got to kind of, it doesn't hurt to kind of look around and walk through the area if you can. This kid's trying to get on my lap here. Just calm down for a little bit.
Do you have an EpiPen for the dog in that, like in some of those scenarios, if it were to get poisoned?
Sit. Depends on the poison. So sit, buddy. Just stay right there. Hey. Simmer.
Simmer.
It's okay. Right here. Come right here.
Everything's so new. He's on fire.
Sit. Okay.
We got this magnificent wall wrap too here in this office. He probably thinks he's down in the river.
Stay. 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 So, not necessarily EpiPen, but there's things that you can do, and like there are certain things that dog owners in general should know about, like using hydrogen peroxide and stuff like that to induce vomiting for dogs that eat, and that's something that you don't just willy nilly do. You've got to know what you're doing and talk to your vet about how you do it. But it's like keeping stuff like that in the truck just in case something goes sideways.
Yeah.
So yeah, just having those little bit of emergency stuff. We talk. We're headed to the vet tomorrow morning for his checkup, and we'll talk again about like rattlesnake stuff. And another big one with dogs, especially our kind of dogs, are foxtails. Like those things will find their way into them and end up in a lung or a heart or something like that.
Like cheatgrass.
So and so you'll end up. Anyway, just try to make sure that I do a good once over when we go out in the field, looking for ticks, looking for whatever. And so,
Is there anything different? Like anybody can go get a dog and become a dog owner,
right.
and that
Unfortunately, sometimes.
yes,
See a lot.
for better or worse.
Yeah.
You're going to the vet. Was there any extra training that you had to do that was more animal centric, like just for care and maintenance, outside of what you would learn from dog Wikipedia page?
Not necessarily just specific to the dog. There's a lot. Half of the training to become a handler is really for me, to learn about how scent moves, to learn about, how much humidity affects things that the dogs are working with and how quickly it can, make them tired or the heat. And so it's just learning that sort of stuff. Learning about like, he's a black dog in the heat. You got to know that you can put like cold water bottles under their armpits to cool them down if they're getting too hot. And then just being extra cautious. Because at the end of the day, like he is like, I think of him as being my dog, but he's also property of the department.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of a fine line between what he actually is, right? And so I just got to make sure that that's good. And, it is nice to be able to tell my supervisor that my department property ate my other department property. So it wasn't my fault necessarily that I don't have
Oldest trick in the book.
another shirt.
That is interesting to think of this living thing as one of your tools.
Right. Yeah. And it's awesome to have, but yeah, it is. That's why we have him. As fun as it is, and as awesome as it is to have a dog that people can't, like, I can bring it into headquarters and nobody can tell me no.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool to have the tool and see them go to work. We'll have to get you guys out and show you like what he can do, because it really is impressive.
Yeah.
There was like during one of our trainings, we thought we had worked him like super hard. And so we went and hit a pistol out and like, I think it was like close to an acre, if not 2 acres of sagebrush. And we're like, we'll just see how he does. And he gets out of the truck, sticks his nose in the air. The wind is blowing pretty good. And he just right to it, like less than 30 seconds to this
Whoa.
thing that's in the sagebrush.
And which dog was this?
Bear.
Oh, wow.
During his training.
Yeah.
So
That's what does working a dog hard look like for training in a training situation?
like really lots of repetitions.
Okay.
Right. Because some of these, like when you're first starting out, you're doing a lot of box drills, right? So you've got like 3 boxes that all look identical, but one of them has the odor that you want them to indicate on. And so you're basically just saying, like, at first they stick their nose near the hole in the box and you reward, right? And then eventually you want them to get to where they sit and they stare at that box and then you reward, right? And you're constantly moving the boxes around. And so by the time you do that 80 to 100 times, like, you're wore out, your dog's wore out. And so that's just,
Also super full
yeah.
of treats.
Well, we tend to use, when we're doing that sort of stuff, we're using like toy rewards.
Okay.
Right. So we're using a verbal reward and then a toy.
Okay.
And some of that's just to get his energy out. Right.
Yeah.
That, or, if it's hot and he's a black dog running around in the dust, and he's, part of his being able to smell is making sure that his nose has some dampness to it, right? And so if his nose gets dry, if he starts breathing out of his mouth more than he's sucking air through his nose, like at that point, there's no reason to keep running him. He needs to rest.
Yeah.
And so
I was one of the things I'm curious about, because a lot of our canine handlers, or our officers that are canine handlers, obviously they take their dogs home with them at the end of the day.
right.
What are some of the things that you have to be kind of careful about, especially if you have a family, careful about bringing your dog home and maybe instilling bad habits in them at home as a family dog, but then when they come back to work, they're an employee.
Like
Yeah.
Cheetos.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a rule of thumb, even with my own dogs, like, I don't feed them off the table. That's just me.
Yeah.
When I got my Brittany when she was a little bit older, and the person that had her before us fed her off the table, and she's just a menace when it comes to human food. And so if they don't know that fries and burgers taste good, like, they're less likely to try to eat it, right? Or beg for it. But I think that the main thing when you come home is just trying to make sure that they're safe. Right? Like that's like something that lives in my nightmares, is if he gets out or runs away, like, not only is it going to really suck that my dog's dead, but now it's like thousands and thousands of dollars we've got invested into this dog.
In time and energy.
Yeah. Time and energy. And so, making sure that people know, what foods, like, some people don't realize how, like, toxic grapes can be to dogs, or the problems they can cause. And so just kind of being a little bit educational with people. And then also, like, he's not behaving himself today in the office by jumping on people. But, a lot of times I'll tell folks, like, hey, if, like, I'm going to get my dog out, just make him sit before you pet him.
Yeah.
Just so he's not tackling 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's part of the family when he's there. There are things like, I went to Yellowstone a couple weeks ago, and I took my personal dogs with me, but I left Bear with another Fish and Game employee, just because it was just another additional something I had to worry about.
Yeah.
And being a department dog, like, that's one of the perks, is we can have other employees watch him.
Is that hard to separate, like, some of that ownership at some point? Like, you guys are like a unit.
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking. Like the first person that I let him stay with after I had him for a while was Tim Cluckin, which was like an easier one because I knew like he knew the responsibilities. And then Ryan Hilliard, one of our fisheries people down in Region 5, he used to watch Dexter for Tim, and so I knew he knew the program as well. But it is a little bit like, man, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I just making sure that he's good because it would really suck if something happened. But yeah, a little bit scary. But I'd feel the same way with my own dog. You know, letting them. I don't let them go stay with just anybody.
Yeah.
So,
Do you feel more or less guilty if they take a crap on Tim Cluckin's furniture if it's an officer dog?
yeah, way less, right? That's department problem there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, I still would feel bad. Like when I dropped him off at Ryan's, I was like, you can tell him to keep off of whatever furniture you want.
Not my property.
Yeah,
game property.
Yeah, you can tell him to stay off whatever you want. If you want him on your couch, you can let him on your couch. But just keep in mind that, you know, he can be a little bit of a tornado right now.
He likes my jeans. I'm just looking at him right now. Run us through some of kind of like the day-to-day activities that, you know, you go through with Bear.
Yeah, so this kid, oh man, he is an eater. I have to get like those slow feed bowls.
Oh, yeah.
He just eats his food like
I
he's
can
never
see it.
seen it before.
Yeah.
And so
Hoover.
yeah, just kind of have to break it up. I can't feed him too much all at once. He's got to get like a cup of food, you know, every few hours. And so that's you know, get him out. Right now during the summer, you know, I've got a garden going, and so we'll go out, and he has it's an egg that's made for like herding dogs, but he loves playing with it. So he'll play out in the yard while I'm watering the garden and getting the vegetables out of there for half hour to 45 minutes. Go back inside. We'll go jump in the truck, go out patrol for a little bit. Usually we'll find breaks during the day. Like nobody's out fishing right now. Let's go over here. I'll hide a pistol, hide a shell casing. Sometimes I prep like the night before. And then go out and find those, spend a half an hour here, half an hour there. It's really good for me too, because then I get out of the truck and walk around. Go during like hunting season, it's nice. We'll pop him out of the truck, and it's an incentive for me to go hike, to go look for random stuff.
Yeah.
In the spring, like get him out and over in the Unit 76, go out and look for bear baits, stuff like that with him.
Okay.
So
So talk more about some of the specific examples of things that you're either looking for or ways that you employ him when you're out checking. Because I'm sure it depends on the season, right? Like in fall, you're checking hunting camps.
I want to know what it's like in fishing season too. Like, what's the effectiveness, and how would you use it during like the summer?
Yeah, so every situation's a little bit different, right? But anytime that we are looking for something that shouldn't be there, right, we can use a dog. One example of how we could use a dog is it's somewhat common, right? Guys that are out there either fishing without a license or they're just like way over limit. Mm-hmm. They'll see us coming, hear us coming, something like that, and then all of a sudden their whole stringer goes like up in the bushes, right?
Stashed somewhere.
Yeah, and we're like, I know we had fish, but I don't know where they went, because from the time you are looking at them in your binoculars and you get over there, like things change. And so you can bring a dog in and turn them loose, and they're gonna smell pretty much anywhere there is a fish or was a fish.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so you can use them, you know, specifically with that. For bear baits, like we don't train specifically on bear baits, but it's like people are putting donuts and food in a barrel and making it smell really good.
Yeah.
Like he's going to go find it. Like he's going to be walking up and be like,
I would find
oh
that.
yeah. And so he'll help me find bear baits during the spring. During the summer, like really anything. We were going to go help a different county, with, they had somewhat of a drive-by shooting. There was some stuff they were looking for. And so we can go do that. Just anytime there's something that somebody needs to find that has human scent on it, or shell casings, firearms, anything like that. So even if somebody had been using a fishing pole all day and then threw it in the bushes as they're running back their truck from us, like we probably could find that. It probably smells like power bait and human scent. Like we can probably use the dog to find that.
What's the scariest situation you've ever been in with canine bear?
I haven't been in. I mean, obviously we're really new at this. I'm trying to think of the scariest situation.
Precarious.
Sure.
Man, I'm blanking on something
it-
scary to
is this
have
it?
with Bear. With Bear there. I mean,
What about like the biggest bust or the biggest win with Canine Bear so far?
I mean, we haven't. Again, we barely got certified a couple months ago, so we don't
Yeah.
have a ton of cases.
Well, there you go. That might be it.
under our belt. But I think the biggest win is that we took this dog that was 4 months old. We didn't go to Indiana. We trained in house with Jim Sterling, and like we tried. I'm not going to get into the weeds of the ways that you can train a dog, but we tried a new way of training him. That's a little bit on the upcoming, the cutting edge of canine training. And so we cut, like by the end of day 1, we were at where we were expecting to be at like day 2 or 3.
Oh.
Right. And so we just like, we just leaped and bound. I mean, we worked him hard, but he was loving it. And so that was like the biggest win was to like, we get to the end of that first day and Jim's like, well, how are you feeling? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. Like, you tell me how we're doing. I've never done
don't
this
know
before.
what's
And he's like, dude, I'm pretty stoked on where we're at. Those aren't his words. Those are my words. Jim doesn't use stoked, I don't think. But we were really excited. And then, super nervous to go back and get certified. But like he passed his certification before he was 1 year old, and first time through, it was no struggles right off the bat, passed his certification. And so that was the biggest win. And then, again, to have a dog in Region 5 has just been, it's going to be an awesome tool to have.
Yeah.
So
was certification with the police dogs and stuff too? What, like, is that a group thing, or is it?
it's through the peace officer standards and training. So like specific certifier has to come from post and watch your dog work. They're the ones that put out the items to find, and then they're the ones that give you the blessing that you're good to go. And then you have to do that certification. It's like once every 18 months.
Okay.
So about once a year, you've got to be doing those similar trainings, similar certifications.
And you were elected the president of Idaho Post Patrol Class. Is that something that's still ongoing?
So that was my patrol class, like when I was going through the police academy.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So like my patrol class, yeah. I
Okay.
was the class president, even though I didn't want to be. Specifically told them not to.
Tell us about, 2022, 2023. I think it was the winter of 2023 was the big one, right?
Yeah, 22, 23, from 22 into 23.
Tell us about what led up to that from your standpoint and how it led to you receiving the director's award of that year.
So, we had just an unbearable winter. I remember like it started snowing around Christmas and just didn't stop till days after New Year's. It just kept coming. In fact, there was a couple days where I almost said mowed my lawn. I plowed the driveway, right? And got done. Like by the time I got to the other side of my driveway, I just had to restart on the beginning of my driveway because it just kept coming. I have a porch that's almost 4 feet off the ground. And by the middle of winter, my dogs were just running right off the porch and on top of the snow. That's how much was at my house, and I'm in the valley bottom, and it just kept snowing, and like you thought it was done, and it just kept snowing, and then like the real kicker, the real thing that put us over the edge there was just the cold. There was a week where we didn't get above 0, and the wind was just whipping, and so you had like negatives 20 degrees and then the wind is blowing, and it was horrible to watch those animals. We were feeding. My wife was helping, volunteering, helping us feed on the east shore of Bear Lake at the state parks. And you could go and as you're dropping food, like you would go and drop the food and then pick up dead deer on the way back out that had died during the night, right? Every day. Man. And you could look at a deer and be like, yeah, that one tomorrow it's not going to be here. Yeah. There was specifically one sagebrush in the campground there that like 4 days in a row, there was a new dead deer we had to pick up. I'm like, no, don't lay here. Like, nobody lay right here in this spot.
bad.
And so it was a long, I mean, I had well over like 100 calls for service in the first 6 months of the year. I was up.
Just picking up dead deer.
Well, picking up dead deer, the elk were insane. And like, I ran the elk out of basically the high school parking lot.
The hazing.
Like 3 days in a row.
The hazing that was going on was 24/7.
Yeah. There was multiple times that I got called in like 2:00 in the morning, and we're running panels to guys' haystacks to try to stop the elk that are just, I mean, they would get into those haystacks and obliterate it at night. And so just trying to help out the farmers that were over there during those really bad, really cold days. Those young yearling elk they would go like on people's porches or behind their houses to just try to get out of the wind, and then end up like freezing to death on their porch. And so it was rough.
That's brutal.
And so as part of that, it was a team. The team got that director's award that year just for everybody from wildlife, fisheries, every person down there in the region helped out. And if you weren't feeding, we were loading pellets on sleds and then pulling them with snowmobiles places. It was definitely a team effort for that one.
Yeah.
So,
what about last year? You got Conservation Enforcement Employee of the Year, man. That's a pretty big honor.
Winning awards and doing things like class president.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but
that was what it was for.
That was a good. I just had a good year coming off that winter. Lots of calls for service, some good cases. I think the one that kind of put the icing on the cake to get that award was the tiger trout case that I made. Did you guys remember that at all?
Oh, tell us that.
So it was the state record that got caught out of Montpelier Reservoir.
I'm familiar. Yes.
So kind of I'm kind of proud of the story just because it's super simple. It's not like it's the biggest poaching crime of the century. It's just kind of a cool story of how it happened. So I was on vacation, and I get a phone call, get a voicemail from somebody, and they're like, "Hey, I was up fishing at Montpelier Reservoir last night, and I caught this big tiger trout, and I just want to see if I can get it on the state record." And so I'm on vacation, so I just forward it to my supervisor, and he gets it over to the fisheries staff. And while I'm still on vacation, I start seeing emails coming through like, we got the weight for this tiger trout. It's definitely a new state record. This is the application. And then I see the press releases, right? Like photo of the guy holding the fish. And then it goes all over.
Don't point it. Don't look at me.
It had to have
either
been
me or Roger.
Yeah, it had to have been like a slow week in the news because it was like all over the place. Like Coastal Angler magazine, I'm like, what is they have?
Outdoor. I remember seeing it on Outdoor. Yeah,
it was on Outdoor Life, like all that stuff. And so anyway, so I'm like coming off vacation, and my wife's like, well, where did he catch it at? Like at the reservoir, because Montpelier Reservoir is not a big body of water, and you can really only fish the one side, and even that one side is from the bank, right? Mm-hmm. And even that one side is really steep for like 80% of it. You can't really fish in there.
And is it known for having tiger trout or even big tiger trout?
No, it was, in fact, until this happened, nobody fished Montpelier Reservoir because it was full of perch. Little tiny like 3-inch perch. They never got any bigger.
Yeah.
And so most people, like even the locals, had stopped fishing there because it was just, they're like, all you catch is perch. There's 10 gazillion perch in there. Mm-hmm. And in the past, we tried to remove the perch. We tried all sorts of projects with that. Never worked. And so fisheries staff in Region 5 is like, let's try some tiger trout. Like, we've got those. If they get downstream, like they're not going to reproduce. Like, we'll see if they eat some of these perch, and apparently it worked out really well. Mm-hmm. It definitely
did for this fish.
Yeah, and there's been some big fish come out of there. Even I've seen some really nice cutthroats and some really nice just rainbows that have come out of there after that. So knocking the perch back a little bit worked out really good. Here, Bear, take this toy you're trying to get out of my pocket. He's over here trying to pull that out of his pocket.
Inappropriate, Bear.
I thought he was getting mad that we weren't talking about him anymore.
Yeah, we moved on.
Maybe a little bit. So my wife was like, where did he catch this at, right? I'm like, I don't know, let's look at the picture. And so we pull it up, and I'm like kind of thinking like, oh, where is this? And my wife's like, that's at the bottom of the boat ramp. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's 100% at the bottom of the boat ramp. And then I'm looking at the picture a little closer, and something that I learned kind of from my grandfather, kind of from some trainees or trainers is, as a game warden, you got to pay attention to the small stuff. And sometimes people say things very purposely, and sometimes they slip up. And so in his voicemail, he goes, hey, I caught this fish last night. And that's what was playing in my head when I look at this picture, and it's got a pretty good shadow coming off of it.
Let's say the picture's in broad daylight.
Broad daylight, and the shadow is going to the west, right? Which means the sun's in the eastern part of the sky.
Starting to sound like Sherlock Holmes a little bit.
A little bit, right? And so I'm like, man, like, why would he say? Because like people define things differently, right? Like people will say, last night could have been 5 o'clock. But I don't know anybody that's defining last night as 11 a.m. And I'm like, man, that to me that's like midday or earlier, based on I knew where he was standing. Like, why would he say last night? So me being me, I jump onto the Fish and Game website or our enforcement portal and look up. We can see when people buy things, right? And there it is, a 1-day non-resident fishing license bought at 1:58 p.m. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
I think there's something going on here. But then again, that's just some reasonable suspicion that nothing I can hang my hat on.
So you looked up the individual's name and saw that. Okay, they were in our data field.
Yep, looked them up on we have an enforcement side that we can look up and see when people have bought things. The same thing we look up to just make sure they have a license, sort of thing. And so I'm like, okay, now I think I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
But I got to prove it. So I go up to the reservoir, to that spot, and I take pictures of myself standing there like with the tripod, right? Every half an hour from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. And it took me like 2 days because the clouds kept coming over at the wrong times. And I'm like, man, it was really lucky that when they took this picture, there was a shadow. And I'm sure AI is going to change all this, especially when people start hearing about this. They're going to start changing all their backgrounds on everything. And so I take these pictures, and then I use this really cutting edge technology that Fish and Game has called Microsoft Paint, and I drew a red line like from the back of my heel right to the apex of the shadow, just to show the direction the shadow was and then the length of the shadow. And pretty soon I was like, if I had to bet on what time he caught this fish, it was between 11 and noon. Like probably closer to 11:30. So I took literally those pictures and a big write-up to the judge, and we got a search warrant for not his cell phone, like all of his cell phone records, but for that day, his location data for that day.
Right.
And that takes some time. You got to be patient and wait for the companies to process everything and get you the stuff over. Eventually they get it to us. My regional investigator helped me out, kind of put it onto a map so you could see where stuff was going. And I don't remember all of like the specific times, but basically he was staying at a house pretty close to the Utah border and about 35 minutes away from Montpelier Reservoir. So you see him in the morning, like start showing some data connections at this house, and then around 9:30, 10, it starts moving north towards Montpelier Reservoir. And as he's moving towards Montpelier Reservoir, we're able to go into our system and see that he's in there making changes to his profile and adding that fishing license to his cart, but he never purchases it. And so
the app.
On the app, yeah.
Go Outdoors Idaho.
Yeah. And so he never purchases this. It's just sitting in his cart, but he had like plenty of time. It wasn't like he ran out of time. He had plenty of time to buy this, and he passed, 1, 2, 3, 4 license vendors. 5. There's 5 license vendors on the way to the reservoir. could have stopped at any one of them and bought a license, right?
Do you think he was hedging his bets on like, well, chances are I'm not going to catch anything anyways. So if I catch it, then I'll buy it. Like
He's still going to get checked though, whether he's fishing or not, or whether he's catching something or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know his internal. I think I think he was willing to play the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you could see, and he was also like changing things in the cart from like trying to go like he was changing resident, non-resident, resident, non-resident. So like I think he was kind of like trying to figure out what he's supposed to do and looking at prices.
So was he a resident, but he was staying down in Utah?
So he used to live in the state, and then he'd moved away. Like he's college aged person.
Yeah.
And so had moved away, so wasn't technically a resident anymore, but had been. And so I think that was where those changes, and maybe like maybe I don't want to pay $23 for the day. So
to go fish where there's fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we the Montpelier Reservoir doesn't have cell phone service. So you lose cell phone service a good 10 minutes before you get to the reservoir. And so it shows him going right towards the reservoir, doesn't stop anywhere, loses cell phone service near the dump going up Montpelier Canyon. And so and then there's no cell phone connections whatsoever until 1:30. At 1:30, that phone reconnects pretty close to where it lost service, right? Mm-hmm. And then it goes straight into Montpelier, and then it kind of like goes around the town for a minute, and we weren't really sure what he was doing there, but he doesn't buy a fishing license there. And then as the phone, I can't say he because this is the phone data, right?
Yeah,
as the phone is leaving Montpelier, while they're driving, it purchases that license before they get back to the house. And then it doesn't leave. It goes to the house and it stays at the house until like 7 o'clock at night. The phone leaves then again and like goes to an apartment complex over in Garden City on the Utah side, and then comes back. So to me, it was pretty clear evidence that not only was it looked like he was headed towards the reservoir without a fishing license, then he comes back. And then after purchasing a fishing license, never went anywhere that you could catch tiger trout, never went anywhere you could go fishing, period. Yeah. And so that was pretty much like our nail in the coffin moment of like, this is going to be really hard to refute, you know?
Yeah.
In the meantime, takes a photo with his phone.
Right.
And has that information now on its phone.
Yeah.
The time that he took that picture.
Right. Yeah. And so there was, we were pretty confident, but obviously, as officers, we're always trying to make sure that we know what we've got before we give somebody a ticket. Cause it's not a simple thing. I mean, a lot of even fishing without a license in Idaho is a misdemeanor, right? It's like a criminal record. So I get people sometimes they're like, "You're treating me like a criminal." Well, if you want to get in the nitty gritty, technically you are.
You are.
But fishing without a license, like we have officer discretion. It can be a written warning, right? There's all sorts of stuff we can do, and so we want to make sure that we've really got our ducks in a row. Pun intended. Before we go,
I was waiting for it.
before we go talk to somebody. So at that point, we were pretty confident, and we could have just cited him, right?
Yeah.
Could have just showed up and handed him a ticket. But most of us, we're gonna see why, right? We want to know that. To us, it's more about the why and seeing if somebody's going to be honest with us. That's a huge thing, and I think something that I did not anticipate as a officer is how much people lie to you, like just blatantly lie right to your face.
We've heard that from multiple conservation officers now.
Yeah. Like I wasn't fishing. I'm like, well, here's a video of you fishing. Right. So like, I don't know, man. Like why lie? You have a fishing license. Why are you lying to me?
Yeah.
But anyway, so we were able to go interview this individual and just like, hey, saw you caught a really awesome fish. Can you tell us a story, right? And his first story is, well, bought this fishing license, right? Which was kind of funny that we start out a story like that.
Yeah.
Bought this fishing license.
So I'm clear.
Yeah, just so I'm clear. I bought this fishing license, and then we went up to the reservoir in the afternoon, my family and me, and we fished for a while. Then I caught this fish, and we're like, oh man, this might be a state record. And so then we decided to go back to town, and that's when we called you, and we were like, we went to a sporting goods store in Montpelier and bought a scale, right? To make sure that it was the weight was going to be there, which this thing like almost doubled the current state record at the time, right?
It was a big one.
It was a toad, and so And I'm like, okay, so like just to be clear, like you bought the fishing license and then went fishing. He's like, yeah, like 100%. That's what happened. So yeah, absolutely. That's 100%.
I love it when
100%.
I'm
And
gonna
so
ask you this 10 more times to
Yeah.
give you plenty of opportunity.
And so I had the picture that's like in the news release, like printed out on a piece of paper. And I held it up and I was like, so this picture right here is when did you take this picture? You know, he's, well, right after I caught the fish. I'm like, who took it? You know, my dad or my brother, one of the two. And I'm like, okay. It's like, this is like just after you pulled it out of the water. He's like, yeah, you can see that my pants still have water on them when it got caught, you know? I'm like, okay. And you were fishing right there when you caught it. Yeah. At the bottom of the boat wrap. Uh-huh. Like, okay, well, did you know that for thousands of years, ancient civilization has used shadows to tell time? And like you could visually see this like anxiety wash upon his face.
Uh-huh.
He's like, you're right. I caught the fish and then I went and bought the fishing license, right? And I was like ecstatic, but I also wanted to be like the old, you know, host on TV, but wait, there's more. Like, let me tell you how I know. Let me tell you how I really know how you were completely lying about this, right? After we kind of confronted him, I will give it up to him. He was pretty honest. I couldn't find anything that he was lying to us about at that point. I think he was just, playing the game of hoping he wasn't going to get caught, and then he caught this state record, and
which is the worst possible thing that could happen to somebody that's out fishing without a license, hedging their bet. Like, there's no way I'm going to catch a fish. I caught the biggest fish.
Yeah, state record, like doubled the state record big fish, right? And so that was something that when we went to court, like he went and pled guilty off the bat. Which, like I said, I got to give up to him because some people they'll just keep lying to themselves and to everybody all the way through it. But he took his licks and that's really, I not look up to him, but I'm happy that he did that. Right. Because some people don't do that. And so that was something that the judge, in Bear Lake County, he's a sportsman. And so he, usually if something gets to his desk or gets to that point, he's usually pretty good with people or good to us with making sure that it becomes fair. And so there's certain things in state statute that are like minimum requirements that some of this. So like, even though it was a state record, civil penalty is only $50 because it's a tiger trout. It's not a anadromous fish. It's not a sturgeon.
It's not a 300-inch elk.
Right. So it's a $50 fish at the end of the day, right? But the judge was like, I think this fish is worth a lot more than $50. And so he actually made some restitution up to $400 for that fish, right? Which still is, I mean, not a ton, but that's a lot. That's four or five times the amount of what a normal trout is going to get. And then the judge kind of went into this thing of, you know, you could have caught this fish, took it to a taxidermist, had it taxidermied, hung it on your wall, and talked about it to all of your buddies for the rest of your life, and nobody would have ever known. No, the game warden would have known. I would have known. But you kind of wanted this recognition, your 15 minutes of fame. Yeah. And so he's like, that's what really bothered me about this, is that you went above and beyond. You had family members that were there with licenses. Any of them could have claimed it, and like nobody would have been the wiser. Yeah. And so he basically hung 30 days of jail over his head, unless he wrote a letter of apology to the community. And he did. So he wrote a letter and put it in the newspaper, apologizing to the community for what he had done. And then we pulled that record from the record books. And so kind of a cool side note to that is the kid that had the record before him, what I heard is that he had caught that record shortly after his big brother had passed away, and he'd caught it wearing his big brother's ball cap, right? And so it was like a sentimental story that really sucked that somebody that wasn't following the rules, they got that state record. However, lo and behold, the next summer, his record would have been broken twice out of the same reservoir.
Yeah. Really?
So we had two, like within 2 weeks of each other, 2 more toads come out of Montpelier Reservoir. And I've heard rumors that there's bigger ones in there that guys aren't turning in because they're trying to not hot spot it as much,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Which we're going to bleep all of that out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
yeah, we're gonna change
At
all of
Beep
this.
Reservoir,
this,
Beep
You
Reservoir.
said Blackfoot Reservoir, right?
but yeah,
Over
yeah,
and over. American Falls, that's what I heard.
Yeah, this all took place in Wyoming.
Yeah.
I'm just helping them out with an investigation.
Yeah.
Well, and something too, it's like there's a whole nother layer to this wildlife crime case where it made news. It was something that we touted as
Right.
this record, and we put it out. I don't know, it's probably Roger that put the press release out. It wasn't me.
I know I updated the website. Like,
Yeah.
that was my part of it.
And it's not like you kind of casually mentioned, yeah, we took out that record.
Right.
But there's also this whole other chain of events that we have to kind of, and then also our media constituents too, Outdoor Life
Yeah.
and all these other magazines that pick it up and talk about it. It's kind of like, well, there goes that record. And it's challenging.
But out of that, like, it didn't just affect that kid.
Right.
It affected lots of people.
Right. And that's honestly, since I was a teenager and talking with my grandfather about this, right? Like, I kind of look at wildlife crime in a way as theft, but it's like kind of the worst kind of theft. Cause like if you steal somebody's television, like unless it's sentimental, like you can replace it. Like you can buy another TV. You can't go buy another state record tiger trout.
Yeah.
Right. We can't put it back in the reservoir. And it's not even necessarily the wildlife itself. It's the opportunity and the experience. Right. Mm-hmm. So these guys that are quote unquote poaching, right? Yeah. I looked at it as they're stealing an opportunity from somebody that's doing it right.
Yeah.
Right. We should all be on the same equal, fair playing field because these wildlife belong to all of us.
Right.
And so, but there has to be rules and regulations, and we've all got to play by the same rules, or it's not fair.
Yeah.
And so he stole that opportunity from somebody else. Maybe it was a 10-year-old kid, maybe it was a 35-year-old dude. We don't know. We'll never know.
Yeah.
Because that opportunity was taken and stolen, and there's really no way to get it back.
Or maybe it was a 95-year-old feller that had never caught a single fish in Montpelier Reservoir.
Would have been a big deal to him. Just the integrity that goes along with it too.
Right. Yeah, and so that's something that drives me to find that sort of crime. And like I said, it's not, at the end of the day, it's not a trophy elk case, but it is, I don't know, it's a pretty cool story of just, how ancient technology, just basic stuff.
Yeah.
Paying attention to the little things sometimes can really make a difference. And this is the gospel by Kolby White, right? This isn't like the department's official doctrine, right? It's just like, I think that 90% of people that I deal with in a violation standpoint just made an honest mistake, right? They either they didn't realize the rule to the fullest, right? Or they thought that the fish limit was 6 and it's 2 because they didn't look at the regs that close.
There wasn't like a criminal intent there.
Yeah, it was an honest mistake. And if people if they make an honest mistake and then they're honest about it, that goes so far with us as game wardens. Like, regardless of what you've done, if you're going to tell me the truth and I'm like, all the evidence is saying what you're telling me is the truth, like that's big, Yeah. And then you've got probably another, that's probably 95% of people. You probably got another, 5% or so that it was just such a big opportunity, right?
Yeah, they saw it and couldn't pass it up.
I know it's the night before the deer hunt, but I have a deer tag in my pocket.
Yeah.
And in 4 hours, it's going to be legal.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just shoot it.
And I just can't say no.
Yeah, I just can't say no. I just caught this state record tiger trout. Like, maybe I should keep it instead of just dropping it back in the water.
Yeah.
And unfortunately there's a lot of the Instagram influencers and the YouTubers, right? That fall into that category because they're trying so hard to compete with everybody else that's trying to get content. And they're like, this would make really good content, but it is the day before.
Yeah.
Or technically this rifle's not legal here in Idaho, but I'm going to use it anyway.
Yeah.
Or technically I have a whitetail only tag, but nobody's really going to know if I shoot a mule deer and post it online.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know what kind of tag I had.
Yeah. How are they going to know?
How are they going to know?
It's not like they can look that up or anything.
Man, we could derail into human psychology very quickly.
Right. And then there's that 1-2% of folks that are like, those are the ones that I call poachers. The ones that are out there intentionally
willfully
trying to damage wildlife, and they're not even posting it. A lot of those guys, right? Like they're killing just to kill or to sell, and trying to get financial gain from it. And some of those are the worst ones, and those are the ones that like we really try hard to find.
Those are the big stories in the generic poacher things that the general public thinks about. Is the dudes out there shooting for
who knows why? We'll never understand what their reasons, even if they gave them to us.
Generally money oriented.
Sell it, or just ego. Some of them it's just ego. They never post it, but like just to be able to say, hey, I shot 4 mule deer bucks and got away. Like the game wardens.
But there's still also something. They may not post it, but they may, in a party or some casual setting, be able to say, hey, check out this picture.
Oh, divorces are great for game wardens.
I've heard. Didn't Brian Merrick say something about that?
Yeah.
Where,
angry ex-wives, man, they'll send us all your photos.
He was telling us, I think what he was like, I think they were still married, but man, they were like on the outs, and they went and the guy wasn't home, but the wife was there, and she's like, oh yeah, you mean his barn full or his shed full of trophy mounts? He's like, yeah, go have a look. And they were in the middle of a spat, and sure enough, that's what they were looking for.
So do you think, when you get 10 years down the road and you've had a career with Bear, do you think you'll remember some of the days before Bear?
I mean, probably. I've had some really.
I mean, you've had
awesome
some wins,
like
you just talked about.
Hopefully I can. The plan right now is to always have a dog.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to convince me real hard to take a supervisor role, because I'm really enjoying this. We'll see 10 years down the road where that goes. But I mean, I've had some really fun times. Some great learning experiences with the department for sure before Bear, and now it's just expanding on that. So
before we get into rapid fire, I got one last question. Beer, you got any other burning questions?
I don't think so.
What's so after this we'll play a quick round of rapid fire, but I want to know what's the greatest life lesson your grandpa ever taught you? Either as it applies to life or the outdoors.
I think, I could dive into this really deep if I had time to think about it, but, I think something that he really taught me was, we've kind of talked about it, is just paying attention to the small stuff, right? And I know we're running a little short on time, but like one of my first, I like to say that my first poaching case I ever solved or helped solve was when I was 15, right? Before.
With him.
Yeah, with him. And this is after he's a game warden, right? But we were up working security, and I'll try to make it somewhat short, but there was one spot on the mountain where you could get cell phone service, and it was on the highway. And so we were up there. This is in the days of like, he was using a black and yellow Nextel phone, right?
The chirp?
Back in the day.
Yeah, that turns into walkie-talkie.
Yeah. And so he's up there talking on the phone, and it's kind of above a big aspen patch, and there's elk down in there, and it's almost dark, and they're just bugling their heads off. So I'm out of the truck looking at these elk that are bugling, listening to them, and I hear, and it's the night before the opening of the rifle or elk hunt for that area. And I hear 3 like in quick succession rifle shots, and the last 2 sounded like they made contact. And so I like, hey, did you hear that? He's like, yeah. What? Like, where did that come from? Sometimes people will sight in their rifle the night before the hunt, but like this was really quick shots. Yeah. And so we sit there on that corner for a while until dark, and then at dark you see these headlights come down the road. A little ways away from us, we're watching with binos, and then in the headlights of the truck, and then you can see some flashlights working. You're seeing a couple dudes processing an elk, and we're like, that ain't right.
Nope,
that's not good. And like I said, this is Nextel days. So you're trying to get a hold of the game warden, and your service is never going to work when you're trying to do that, right? And it's also dark, so. We watch these guys load this elk into the bed of the truck, and we know there's really only, if they're going to go home, if they're going to hit the highway and go home, there's one way they can go. So we go up onto this dirt road and we back into these trees and we just sit there, right? And this goes into like what we preach with being a good witness.
Yeah.
He was a game warden. He dealt with lots of people. He didn't jump out and accost these people and, hey, stop, I gotta get your name and blah, blah, blah. We sat there and we watched the truck go by. We got a license plate number, right? And then we called the game warden. And next day was opening day, so busy day for the game warden. He's like, I'll try to get up there like midday. We'll go see what we can find. In the morning, we go up to the area where we thought we had saw this going on and go driving down the road, and we see a flock of crows take off. We're like, oh, game warden's best friend right there besides Bear. You know, we're like, we're gonna go look over there, and we find a gut pile. We're able to take some pictures of truck tracks, tire tracks coming out of there. Later on, game warden shows up. We take him to it. He takes a DNA sample from the gut pile. The photos that we took. Long story short, these guys took the elk home. The dude that shot the elk was using a buddy's truck, and then after they dropped the elk off, Bear's trying to get into a no bueno spot. After they dropped the elk off, they immediately went to a car wash and washed out the entire bed of the truck. And from what I remember, the game warden down there telling me is they were able to get a search warrant for the truck. They were able to drop the tailgate down on those older trucks. You could one side, you could take the tailgate off pretty easily, and inside of where the tailgate attached, there was still blood in there. So they got a DNA sample from that, matched it to the gut pile, and it was a trophy bull elk. So a felony case.
Yep.
So I always say that was kind of the, and that was all just paying attention to those small things. Yeah, my first case, right? And that's just, looking at those tire tracks, and he'd get me out of the truck and, show me footprints that are just in the dirt. Like, what can you tell me from this?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think happened here? We'd play those scenarios, and just hearing all the stuff that he went through and the cases that he worked was, I don't know. I feel like I have more time on than I do, but
Now we'll have you back, man.
Yeah.
We could talk to COs all day long. You guys are an endless stream of stories.
yeah.
Well, you want to play a quick round of rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. What is Bear's favorite snack?
He has a Dentastix. I don't know why, but the Dentastix, he gets like a half a Dentastix before bedtime, and that's what he goes for.
Oh, that's why his breath is so minty fresh.
Yeah, look at those pearly whites on
Yeah.
that thing.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
How do you get the name Bear?
So the breeder called all of his dogs Fred. All of the boys were named Fred. And for reasons I won't go into, I'm not a huge fan of the name Fred, even though he is a little bit of a goober.
Oh, okay. I see where this is going.
Yeah, so I wanted to...
Fred Bear.
Yeah, I wanted to keep something a little bit similar, short, like Fred.
Yeah.
So Fred Bear. And then also, I'm in Bear Lake County, right? I have Bear Lake in my patrol area. And I thought it'd be really funny to be out in the woods going... Come here, Bear, and having people go, dude, I'm not messing with that game board. He's over there calling for a bear. I'm not, or
have you seen my bear?
Yeah, hey, get out of the car. I'm going to bring in the bear.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
bring in the bear.
Do you fish with a fly rod or spin rod?
Spin rod, mostly.
All right. Do you take the elevator or the stairs up here?
Elevator, because Bear Lake County, I don't know of a single elevator that exists, so it's a little bit like
Aside from a grain elevator.
a free ride.
that's
Yeah,
a
it's like a little bit of an amusement park.
Speaking of a bear, would you rather get mauled by a grizzly or shish kebab by an elk antler?
That depends. Do I die or do I survive?
Love that you have more questions.
Oh man, I never thought. You live.
I live.
Yeah.
Grizzly bear.
All right.
L scars would be way cooler than like a round hole in my sternum.
You'd have to lift up your shirt at that party.
It would just be like a round hole in your stomach.
What's the first animal you ever harvested?
Either a pheasant or a duck.
Okay.
I can't remember that.
Always been a bird.
Did you have a license?
Yeah. I had a game warden grandfather.
He always had a license.
What's the worst thing you've ever smelled on the job? Besides bear's breath.
Oh no, I would smell that any day. Soupy July moose.
Oh.
Yeah.
Another good band name.
Yeah, soupy moose. You're going out on a fishing or hunting trip. What kind of backpack or what kind of sandwich and what kind of drink do you pack?
So Diet Pepsi.
Off the clock.
Yeah, Diet Pepsi.
Okay.
And that's my go-to. You can ask anybody. And then just some sort of meat sandwich. So I don't know why. I'll eat peanut butter bars. I'll eat anything with peanut butter in it except for a peanut butter sandwich. Literally makes me gag. I'm not allergic to it, but
Whoa.
like I have like a visceral reaction to a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Wow.
So yeah, no Uncrustables for me unless they're the Nutella ones.
You can't even say like smooth or chunky.
No.
You would. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because I literally cannot force myself to eat it. And I don't know why.
How do you feel about sardines?
Great. Sardines are great. I think it's that or kipper snacks. I'm more of a kipper snack guy than a sardine guy.
Okay.
But I think that's like an unwritten rule. They should actually make COs like do that, like eat some of that at our interviews because I want them that eat it. So yeah, you gotta have a stack of those in the back of the truck.
I was gonna say, where do you keep them in your truck?
Yep.
Yeah, in the treat bag, my treat bag, not Bear's treat bag, my treat bag. That and some crackers. The ones you just buy at the gas station that have like the sour cream or whatever in the middle of them.
Yeah.
Eating that with some kipper snacks. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Done.
Sweet.
So the message out there for all of our other COs that listen to this podcast is don't ever think that you're going to move down to Bear Lake and become a CO because that spot's going to be taken up for a
It's
long
taken.
time.
Yeah, it taken for sure.
Well, cool, Kolby. Is there anything else that you want to say or that we forgot to ask you? Or
No,
Before we take off here?
you guys are killing it with this. I'm really enjoying listening to these, and yeah, just remember when you guys are out there, be smart, be safe, and be ethical with what you're doing.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Like it shouldn't be that hard. They always say being ethical is doing something even though nobody is watching.
Yep.
You should do something because the game warden's probably watching.
yeah,
You may not know it, but we're watching. So
the mist.
Yep.
And Bear's gonna find your spent shells.
So we've been going for like 2 hours, and he's still running around.
He's ready. He's
Bear,
ready.
you got any? Hey, Bear.
Go again.
Want to say? Hey,
Poacher. He's like, no, there's a toy.
Yep. Focused.
Thank you, Bear. That was very wise.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Take care, Kolby. Safe travels back.